Well, hey everyone. In the box here on the bench, I have a product to review, which I'll unpack it shortly. But I was contacted by a company, wanted to review a turntable. I said, sure, I'll take a look at it. But as always, before they send it, I said I give honest reviews. If I find something I don't like, I'm going to say it. But, I'm not going to trash a sub $200 product that's not performing like, say, a $500 product. I don't want to sugarcoat it, and I don't want to trash it. However, I do want it to be decent. I don't want to find any major flaws that would make this thing really not usable. So I'm going to run a bunch of tests, and, we'll see how it performs. Another thing you might be asking, if you follow my channel, what's with all the turntable videos? Well, it's a hobby. It's fun. My primary listening format is digital, but I like vinyl as well. And I was always kind of looking to get back into it. So, it's a good opportunity, and kind of share it on YouTube as well. So that's the reason. I also bought this test record. It's brand new, sealed. I don't know what it's all about, if it's any good. I think it has some test tones. I need some test tones to test the speed variance of the turntable. And, some other tests on there. So, yeah, this is new to me. Hopefully I could use it in the test here. And I'd also like to get the curves of the equalization. It has a built-in phono preamp. I want to see how good that is, and I'll see if I can hook that up to the Quantasylum and run some tests there. Well, I'll give high marks to packing because it was a box within a box within a box. That's even double corrugated. So yeah, good packaging quality there. I like to see that, so less damage to the product. So let me continue getting this thing unpacked. Okay, let's take a look what comes in the box here. So you get a 12-volt power adapter, some cables, the counterweight, the manual with some things inside here. You get a 45 RPM adapter, the belt. That little weight there is used for anti-skate, I believe. And of course the platter. And I weighed all this stuff. It's got some decent mass to it. It weighs 17 grams, which is like 3 pounds, 9 point something ounces. So yeah, I wasn't expecting that. That's got some decent mass to it. Of course, the turntable itself, or the base, or the plinth, I guess you could call it. We'll take a look at that in a moment. And the clear dust cover. Okay, looking at the back of the unit here, we have the ground connection, left and right inputs, phono or line, has a built-in preamp equalizer, and of course if you want to use your own you can switch over to phono. 12 volts in, Bluetooth indicator, so it does have Bluetooth. We'll have to check that out. Power switch. On top here we have the motor, which I hope is quiet, and that's the top of the bearing. The tone arm here, it has the little hanger for the weight for anti-skating. We'll look at this more in depth. On the bottom of the unit we have the shock absorbing feet. There's the bearing there. It's a ball bearing that the platter rides on, and it's pre-oiled, so you don't have to worry about that. So yeah, that's the bottom of the unit. Appears to be made out of, it's probably a veneered particle board. It's about an inch thick, which is 25 millimeters. It's looks pretty decent as far as the assembly quality. One test I like to perform before putting the belt on is look for platter wobble. So I spin it up pretty fast. And what I want to see is the actual horizontal playing surface not bobbing up and down. Now, this decorative bevel, it does vary in size there. See how it kind of wobbles? That could be better, but the good news is this playing surface is flat. There's no bouncing up and down with it. This is made out of steel, so when they stamp it or whatever process they use to make it, they have to get this part very flat. Okay, I got it all set up here, connected to my little amplifier. It wasn't too difficult to set up. The manual is pretty clear to understand how to set this thing up. It does use the Audio-Technica AT3600L cartridge. There's the cartridge specifications. Recommended tracking force is 3.5 grams. I think it comes with a conical stylus, so for that type of stylus, it's about what you would want. Now, if you're using an elliptical or even a hyperelliptical, those types you definitely would want to get a different cartridge and track at a much lighter weight. So yeah, I got the anti-skate weight on there. They did include a protractor for aligning the cartridge near the inner and outer grooves. It's important to have that set up. This was out of alignment on the inside groove, so I would recommend using this thing. The instructions aren't in the manual on how to use that, but there's a lot of instructions online how to use a protractor, so no big deal. I want to take a look at the equalization of the phono preamp used in this thing. See how closely it matches the standard curve. So I connected the wires of the tone arm to an attenuator into the Quantasylum audio analyzer. And it follows it pretty closely. So at 1 kilohertz, if we use this as a reference here, you can see the bass is up about 20 dB. Treble at 20 kilohertz is down about 20 dB. So yeah, it looks like your typical equalization curve. It's following it pretty good. Slight imbalance between the channels. That could be my attenuator, though. I'd have to check that. But it's not much. Ignore these little blips. That's just AC noise getting in. I don't really have shielded cables or anything. Looking at the distortion at 1 kilohertz, a little disappointing, really. 0.217%. If you remember doing the Rod Elliott kit, it was 0.006 or something like that, or 0.006. It was very low. But yeah, this is quite a bit more. I'd like to see below 0.1. So yeah, kind of disappointing there. Okay, I'm using an LED light that has a lot of line frequency flicker to it, so you can see what's going on here. Yeah, the speed is pretty accurate, but if you look carefully, see how the dots crawl? Now they're going right. They were standing still. Oh, they stopped now. Slow down. A lot of wow with this thing. And that comes down to those little motors they use in these things. They're like the size you'd find in a cassette player. They just don't hold the speed that well. I had that problem with the other one. I don't know if you would notice it. It's really slight with this one, but that other record player I did a video on a while back, it had a severe problem. I had to change the motor, which took care of that.
Note that if your cartridge's performance improves as stylus force is increased, your cartridge probably has good transient ability.
Transient.
But is also
So it's not
probably causing
transient.
undue record
I'm
wear
pronouncing
because
it
of its
wrong.
lower compliance. If, on the other hand, performance is relatively constant as you increase stylus pressure,
When was this made?
you most likely have a
1950?
high compliance cartridge that has above average tracking ability, but only fair transient ability.
Transient.
One more point before you start. The material in these computer-generated tone tests is fairly intense.
Ooh, computer.
To avoid problems with speaker blowout,
Ooh.
please turn the volume controls down a bit. Any distortion the test uncovers will be more readily apparent at normal playback levels than at high levels.
Lay it on me, baby.
This is the high-frequency computer-generated tone test.
Lay it on me, baby. What the hell? What? I paid 20 bucks for this record. I want test tones, not this. What am I supposed to do with this? Ooh, transient ability.
This is the low-frequency computer-generated tone test.
I'm gonna blow out my speakers. Turn it up. Oh! What? What the hell? Oh. Oh. No. No. These are supposed to be sweeps. What is this? Some kid on a Moog? So this record here, they're wanting you to compare your cartridge with their super duper electret design. So they do all these tests. Transient. So yeah, I see a G in there. Transient. I guess I'm not a master of the English language. So yeah, a little bit let down. I was hoping I was going to get some test tones. It's a computer-generated high-low frequency tone swept. And it's those beep 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 beep. Whatever. Well, side 2 is good. They give you a bunch of music selections. I don't know if they're copyright or not, but they're really dynamic. They really put it to the test. I played the record through. I didn't have any problems. I didn't notice any distortions, or it didn't skip or anything. I might try to play an excerpt from one of these. Okay, I think I've done enough testing here. It's time to wrap it up. Give you a summary of the Angel's Horn model H002 BT turntable. Pros. I like the looks of it. It's a nice looking turntable. Also available with a black finish. It sounds good. I will put an asterisk by that. We'll come back and examine that. Didn't have any issues with skipping, or I didn't notice any background noise other than from the surface noise of the vinyl. I like the heavy platter. It helps take care of the flutter from the small motor. Unfortunately, my test record doesn't have any tones. I can actually measure that. But listening to piano notes and things, I didn't really notice any flutter in the sound. I like that it has an anti-skate feature. A lot of budget turntables may not have it. They might use a spring inside, but this one actually has a anti-skate counterweight. Check the equalization curves and it looks good. It's following the standards. It does have Bluetooth. You can pair it with the Bluetooth speakers. I didn't test that. It's, you know, it's the same old thing. You pair it with your device and everyone's happy, right? Okay, now we'll take a look at the cons of the turntable. The wow issues with the motor. Wow meaning low speed frequency variation. I see that with these turntables that use these tiny little cassette player type motors, as I call them. If you follow my channel, I had it with the other turntable and I replaced that motor. It was much better, but it still wasn't perfect. It would be nice if they would go with a brushless design. You know, it might add some cost, but it's going to eliminate a big problem. I just wonder how long the motor's going to hold up, if it's going to get worse or not. And to me, that's a big problem. When I'm listening to it, sometimes I can hear it slow down just a bit. And it's an annoying effect to me. So because of that issue right there, I can't give this turntable a full recommendation. Preamp distortion a bit high, 0.2%. Can you really hear that? I doubt it. But, you know, it's a preamp. It should be very easy to make the distortion very low. You know, when I tested the Rod Elliott preamp kit, you know, that thing is extremely low distortion, 0.006 or whatever it was. Why can't this be at least under 0.1? Minor little quibble. Why not have a little post to put that 45 RPM adapter on, and, you know, it just gets lost. You know, I just set it in the back corner here, but it'd be nice if it had a little holder. Annoying power save functions. If you play a record and you go off and do something else and you come back to play another one, you move the needle over, it won't start. I have to cycle power to get it to go again. So it seems to go into some sort of sleep power down mode. The only way to get it up again is to cycle power. Yeah, another minor little quibble, but annoying. And lastly, the preamp gain seems a bit low to me. You know, I can crank my little amp over here all the way open and it won't distort, telling me that it's not driving the amplifier with enough signal. It could use, I don't know, 4 to 6 more dB of gain. Again, the Rod Elliott preamp has plenty of gain to push your amplifier to its limits if you want to crank it up loud. And that's my review of the Angel's Horn turntable. I can't give it a recommendation because of that wow issue. You know, if they could fix that, this thing would be a very good budget turntable. So with that, I thank you for watching and catch you on the next one.